You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
I'm Julie Murray, and this is Media Pressure, the untold story of Maura Murray. The following podcast contains adult language and potentially triggering topics. Listener discretion is advised. The opinions presented by my guest are their own. I think this is it. There's this quote by Geoffrey Chaucer, "Time and tide wait for no man." The audio clip you just heard was recorded during a tip my dad and I followed up on this past year. At the time, I didn't fully grasp it, but he was the living embodiment of that quote. See, my father's 82 years old, without the luxury of time on his side. So he wasn't waiting for me. He wasn't waiting for anything. He can't afford to. His daughter is still missing, and 2 decades later, he's still leading the charge for answers in Maura's disappearance. Many times I find myself trying to keep pace. It's been almost a full year since the release of Season 1 of the Media Pressure podcast, The Untold Story of Maura Murray. Just as the tide ebbs and flows, so do leads in a missing person case. The process is an endless loop, a rhythm of hope and heartbreak. Most tips leave behind little more than empty shores, while others carve faint traces in the sand, hinting at something deeper beneath the surface. Unfortunately, we don't have a major breakthrough in the case to report, but we do have several traces in the sand. Rest assured, the moment we do have a breakthrough, you'll hear it here first. That said, don't mistake the lack of big news for inactivity. We've been anything but idle. The podcast generated a ton of tips and leads, which is exactly what we hoped for. But what happens when those leads come in? How do we manage, prioritize, and thoroughly vet the steady stream of information? Meet Lou Berry, our private investigator and a retired chief of police with over 35 years of law enforcement experience. He's been on the case for a little over 3 years now and explains the process.
First of all, we try and, follow up as best we can from the start and see, where this information came from. And oftentimes when you get information, so-and-so said such and such. And when you actually talk to that person, you find out, no, that's not what I said. I said this. And the story morphs and changes as it comes along. So you try and, almost go backwards and find out if that information has any real merit or not. And as you know, sometimes we've spent weeks checking into leads that were just not relevant, but you never know. So you can't just blatantly ignore them. You have to follow up on them. And that's what happens. So, we're waiting now for some information that goes back 2 months. Just the process of trying to get that information turns out in this case to be very difficult, but we're almost there. So, and it's probably nothing. It's probably totally unrelated, but again, you don't know until you either verify the accuracy or the inaccuracy of what something is said. I mean, we recently got some good information on an individual, perhaps, but when you really look at the information, quite a bit of it is, well, so-and-so heard so-and-so say this. Well, it's really isn't evidence. It's that's rumor, but tracking that back to the source can be difficult.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Obviously, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the active lead Lou mentioned, but it was shared with New Hampshire law enforcement, of course. I'll give you the high-level gist. After the launch of media pressure, a woman reached out to my family. See, she dated a guy, we'll call him Alex, but that's not his real name. Anyway, from all appearances, Alex was a recluse, living in Bath, New Hampshire at the same time of Maura's disappearance in 2004. As a reminder, Bath, New Hampshire is the next town over from where Maura's abandoned car was found. He worked in Lincoln, New Hampshire, 20 miles east. Alex had a violent temper and regularly beat her, once shoving her head into a toilet. During one violent interaction, he said that he, quote, killed the girl, end quote. Perhaps in an attempt to scare her or exert control over, but who knows? It's unclear who he was referring to, but everyone's mind immediately jumps to Maura when anything like this is said in the North Country. Anyways, what intrigued me the most was how they met. She explained her car broke down on the side of the road, and Alex drove by in his truck offering assistance. A relationship developed and they began dating. This relationship devolved into a toxic cycle of violence and control, which eventually ended. However, she was so traumatized and afraid that she never reported it to police. That statement about killing the girl never left her mind, though. When Lou began investigating, he quickly discovered she wasn't the only woman in Alex's reign of terror. Woman after woman shared horror stories of their experiences with Alex. At one point, he was arrested for domestic violence. Now, like Lou said, it could have no relevance whatsoever, but it needs to be chased down. The problem is, Alex went off the grid, so we're still trying to track him down, if he's even still alive. Now, back to Lou. He specializes in unsolved cases and serves as a board member for the nonprofit Private Investigations for the Missing, founded by Bruce Maitland, the father of Brianna Maitland, who went missing a couple months after Maura out of Vermont. Lou's been around the block and involved in countless investigations, both as a private investigator and previously as a chief of police. I asked him what makes Maura's case different from the other ones he's been involved with.
There's differences and there's similarities. I think one of the differences is that it's attracted so much social media attention that some other cases have not. There's, I don't know how many different groups out there on Facebook that people are involved in that tend to propose their own theories, I guess it is. And a lot of these theories have just been rehashed over and over and over. And there's just no evidence that any of them are accurate at this point. So it's the one case I think I've seen, maybe partially because it's been going on for 20 years, but there are just so many people that are invested in it and feel ownership of different theories and accusing individuals that in all likelihood are no way near related to the case or involved in the case. Media attention can be great for a case as far as bringing in information, but it also can be very frustrating for the people investigating it because information's put out there that just is not accurate sometimes. I've seen so many things posted that are just plain wrong, but perpetuated because people just won't let go. When I started this case, trying to weed through fact from fiction or misinformation was very difficult in this case, much more so than other cases that I've been involved in. Even Brianna's case, there's, even though there was somewhat of false information out there at the beginning, I think we've kind of all put that aside and you don't hear too much about it anymore. But in Maura's case, there's just so much information out there and so many people have gone out of their way to gather information and, trying to dispel things that are irrelevant or untrue is been very, very difficult. And I think it surprised me a little bit that there was that much of it out there. And it perpetuates, it continues. To this day, it continues. And as you know, some of the tips that you get that you pass on that we spend a lot of time following up on turn out to be totally wrong or irrelevant or misinformation or whatever. So I think that's probably the most different aspect of this case that I can see from a lot of the other cases that we have.
As Lou mentioned, one of our efforts this past year in trying to decipher fact from fiction led us hundreds of miles away from New Hampshire to a property in Massachusetts. See, our search efforts have no borders, and when a homeowner reached out to us with a tip related to their own property, we jumped on it. Lou and his partner Greg Overacker, the author of The Hunt for Brianna Maitland, brought a cadaver dog and searched the area of interest. We weren't exactly sure what we might find, if anything, but it had to be done. My brother Curtis and his partner Sarah hovered nearby, frozen with anticipation, the air around them thick with tension. You might not know this, but every search carries the same suffocating weight for my family. Big or small, credible lead or shot in the dark, we never know what to expect. I'm certain it's shaved years off our lives, but what choice do we have? In the end, the search revealed yet another empty shore, leaving a clean slate as we wait for the next tide to roll in. All while, the clock keeps ticking. Another shot in the dark we pursued was examining an old computer that was collecting dust in my dad's basement. You know the kind, the bulky beige towers that dominated desk space in the early 2000s. But I knew Maura had been home that Christmas before she disappeared, and chances were she used that computer. It wasn't like she could haul her own massive setup from UMass to Hanson. So Lou linked us up with a computer forensic specialist out of California. He called me on FaceTime and walked me through the process of removing the hard drive. I shipped it out to his lab, but unfortunately nothing could be recovered. But hey, again, it was worth a try.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes, at the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today, and let us surprise you.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
One point of confusion that surfaced this past year stemmed from details found in documents related to the initial investigation at the University of Massachusetts. For example, the type of alcohol recovered from Maura's car. There was a simple mix-up. Police officers are human and mistakes happen. I don't believe there was anything nefarious here, and it's not a huge deal, but it's worth setting the record straight. According to the report, the first responding officer, Haverhill, New Hampshire Police Sergeant Cecil Smith, relayed to UMass Police that a 12-pack of Labatt Blue beer was found in Maura's car. However, as part of my rapport-building effort with the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit, I was granted access to view the unredacted copy of the liquor store receipt, which has not been made public. I've also seen the search warrant inventory of the items recovered from her vehicle. Labatt Blue wasn't on either list. What she had was Sky Blue malt beverage. This minor discrepancy is the type of thing, if true, could have greater implications in the overall investigation. Secondly, the report confirms that Maura searched for information on traveling to 3 different geographically dispersed locations, to include Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. We knew this prior to the release of the report, and it points to a sense of spontaneity in her intended destination. She searched for hotels in Burlington, Vermont, as well as 430 East Street in Lenox, Massachusetts, the address of Eastover Ski Resort in the Berkshires, about an hour west of UMass Amherst. This, in addition to her calling a ski resort in Stowe, Vermont, and a condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire. To me, this suggests that Maura didn't have a concrete plan on the day of her disappearance. Another detail in the report involved a tip received on December 28, 2005. A group of hunters reported finding what they believed to be Maura's nursing ID near a cemetery in Ossipee, New Hampshire, a town located about 90 minutes southeast of Woodsville. According to the hunters, they had noticed the ID roughly a month earlier, just before Thanksgiving, but didn't report it until after Christmas. I confirmed with the lead detective on Maura's case that no ID belonging to Maura was ever recovered, though this tip was investigated. The most compelling item in the report to me is something no one is talking about. A single sentence stating that Maura was reportedly upset the Friday before she disappeared because of a stolen bag. I've heard fragments of this before, but seeing it again sent my mind racing. What was in the bag? Was it ever recovered? What caused her to be so upset? I get it. I hate to lose things, and maybe it was nothing, but maybe not. All that to say, it's been a busy year. As many of you know, I manage several social media accounts to keep Maura's case in the public eye. And let me tell you, media pressure works. Out of the blue, I received a message from what I call a unicorn. Someone who actually knew or interacted with Maura. In a case this old, finding someone like that is extraordinarily rare. Meet June. That's not her real name, of course. We're using an alias to protect her identity. But her story, it's one you might want to hear.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes, at the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today, and let us surprise you.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You were one of the last people to interact with Maura before she went missing. I found you. You reached out on one of the social media platforms and said, hey, I saw her before she went missing. And when I saw that, I was like, holy smokes, there's a unicorn. I need to talk to her. So that's how I found you. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was just going to ask you to talk about what that last interaction was with Maura.
I mean, it was so brief. Like I said, she was always really polite, really quiet. Whenever it came out in the news, because I lived in the sorority off campus, so I wasn't in the dorms, but I had a boyfriend who was living in the towers over there, so I spent a lot of time. But whenever I saw or heard that she was missing, I remember being like, oh my God, I just saw her. And nobody knew who I was talking about because nobody, we all lived in a sorority off campus. So everybody was like, who, what, where? And I was like, I just saw her. And I knew her name immediately because I remembered picking up her paperwork and having seen her.
See, June worked at the same security job as Maura in the UMass dorms. She was more of a rover, stopping in at each of the dorms to pick up paperwork from the folks stationed at the desks, like Maura.
Like I said, she was always very, very sweet, quiet. When you would stop in, you would say, oh, do you need anything? Do you need to take a break to go to the bathroom? Or do you need any more paper or whatever it was? So it was always, I don't even know if we ever had a real conversation besides oh, wow, it's really cold outside. It's February in Massachusetts.
She remembers when the police came to ask the managers about Maura's disappearance.
When they talked to the managers, higher level, I guess, of the dorm security, I remember the police being there, and I remember thinking hey, I just saw her. Is anybody going to ask me? Not that I really had anything to provide, because I didn't. But I remember being they didn't pick up her papers. I did. And I don't know that it was the night before. It was within that weekend. I remember, because I remember being I just picked up her paperwork. You'd think that they would have asked everybody who interact, and they know who, but I don't know if it was just campus police weren't prepared. They didn't know. They didn't think we had anything to offer. It kind of seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity, I think. Not necessarily for me, but I don't think they interviewed any of the other people besides the high-level managers there. And by high level, I mean they were college students like me. But they were the ones organizing schedules and stuff and paying people and stuff like that.
So when you picked up the paperwork from her that night, did you notice anything that seemed off?
I didn't, but again, she was always so quiet that I don't know, and polite, I don't know that I would have noticed. You know what I mean? I didn't know her well enough. I remember thinking that perhaps she seemed a little melancholy, but it's winter in Massachusetts, late at night, could just be tired. So I definitely... To me, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. It was just, do you need anything? Need to run to the bathroom? I'm fine. Okay, cool. And that was pretty much it. But I had picked up paperwork from her several times before, which is how I knew, who she was. To me, she didn't seem different than any other night I had seen her. Just quiet, doing her homework. From what I remember, we didn't have laptops back then, remember? It was notebooks, or most people didn't have laptops. So a lot of people had notebooks or would be reading. I thought about her all the time. I think about her all the time. I followed it for years and years and years just because I think that's kind of what got me interested in true crime. And I follow a lot of Sarah Turney, which is ethical true crime. And so I've never wanted to make it seem like I knew more than I did. It just was always something that it meant a lot to me, because I was wow, we're 1 year on, we're 2 years on, we're 5 years on, and I'm living my life. And just, it affected me, and I knew her in just this snap moment of time. So I've just always thought about you guys a lot. And I've mentioned on a couple of social media posts throughout the years, just saying oh, I think about Maura a lot. I saw her, a night or two before she went missing. And I had somebody, maybe Nina Instead, reached out to me one time, and she was like, have you talked to her sister? And I said, no, because I don't have anything to offer. And I don't say it to try and make myself, cooler than I am. It literally is just, it's stuck with me, my whole life.
As I explained to June, her interaction with Maura doesn't alter the investigation or provide more than a small glimpse into her connection to my sister. But for someone like me, a family member clinging to every fragment of Maura's life, discovering someone who crossed her path is like discovering a mythical creature exists. It's hard to put into words, but it brings a smile to my face and warms my heart in a way that feels both comforting and bittersweet. Over the past year, our relationship with New Hampshire law enforcement has steadily improved. We've met like clockwork every 3 months, always in the same sterile conference room at the Attorney General's building in Concord, a space that seems to magnify the weight of the unknown, stirring an uneasy mix of emptiness and quiet tension. These meetings typically include the chief of the cold case unit, the assistant attorney general, and the lead detective. Shayna from Light the Way Advocacy Group, my right-hand woman and our tenacious family advocate, is always by my side. While I'm grateful for their time and willingness to meet with us, it's never enough. I want answers. I want my sister, and time is slipping away. At the end of each meeting, Shayna usually gives my leg a discreet tap under the table, a signal I know all too well. With a smirk, I say, "Well, you know what I'm about to ask." The chief nods, already anticipating my standing questions. Those persistent, unresolved questions that only grow heavier beneath the mounting weight of each passing year, and the ones I'll continue to ask. Though he still can't provide the answers I'm looking for, he always encourages me to keep asking. An invitation I gladly accept. I think I'll wrap it up here. While this may not be the groundbreaking update we all hoped for, it does highlight the progress we've made. As February approaches, I find myself grappling with mixed emotions. This month marks 21 years since Maura disappeared, a heartbreaking milestone as she's now been gone as long as she was with us. Coupled with the loss of my brother Freddie this past November is an acute reminder that time is of the essence. Chaucer's words, "Time and tide wait for no man," ring truer than ever. Time isn't waiting for answers, for breakthroughs, or even for healing. With each passing day, we drift further from the moment Maura vanished, while the memories remain frozen, untouched by the tide of years. But if time refuses to pause, neither will we. We'll keep pushing forward, holding on to hope and refusing to let the tide carry her story out to sea, lost forever. If you have any information regarding the disappearance of my sister Maura Murray, please contact the New Hampshire State Police Cold Case Unit at 603-223-3648 or visit mauramurraymissing.org. Special thanks to my friend Sarah Turney, whose trust and guidance made this project possible. Media Pressure is a Voices for Justice media original and is executive produced by Sarah Turney. Sound designed by Kelly Gary. This series includes original music from my brother, Curtis Murray, as well as Blue Dot Sessions. I'm your host, Julie Murray. For more information about Media Pressure, visit mediapressure.com. For more information about my sister Maura's case, visit mauramurraymissing.org.
Hey, before your Q3 call, I've got the campaign brief ready, built from last quarter's data and the competitive landscape.
Great. Did you include the differentiation angle the CMO asked for?
Already in there. 3 angles no competitors using right now. Just need your approval.
Approved. Thanks. Oh, agents, where would we be without you?
Somewhere with a lot more tabs open.
Create your first Monday agent in minutes at monday.com.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.